in the quiet early morning of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Pont, but actually a woman apparently got up and left at 4:30 to begin the hike. So we go down the road, and that's the beginning. That's the north entry, our gateway into the walled city, and this is where we leave through. And up above us is a statue of a pilgrim, whether it's St. James. I don't think he was called a pilgrim. He was the first to be here, and then another who followed him. And standing on the bridge, looking one way. What a pretty town it is. And here are the symbols of the pathway, the shell icon. Some of the beautiful, picturesque early morning countryside. One way the Basques make their living in this high country. Okay, about the middle of the page is the croix, or the cross, and this is where we take off from the road and go on the trail up to somewhere the peak is. I'm not sure where it is up here. And then from then on, it's a pretty steep run back down to Roncesvalles. But here's a close-up of the cross, people leaving their mementos. What's curious is that a man would leave his hiking boots. Perhaps that indicates that he has decided this is probably looking back towards the cross, which is probably about a half mile, 3/4 mile back down steep grade. And this is the new kind of terrain we're passing through now. How long this will last, I don't know. I've hiked in and through a lot of forests, and it's always interesting to record that. I think these are a beach, but I'm not sure. The land is pretty close cropped because of the sheep. Here's a signpost. Appears to indicate from a sign back there there's a 2 hours plus to Roncesvalles. Who knows? Here's an old stone sign indicating Saint-Jacques de Compostela, St. James. 765 kilometers from here, apparently. They're the iconic seashell. But why up here? Unless maybe we're near the top. Another interesting signpost. Interesting, noting Navarra, which is the county or prefect or whatever that Pamplona is part of. We continue on. Here an interesting sign. Notice the second one from the bottom. Doniban Garazi is the other name for Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Pont, which is back where those folks there are coming up. There's that sign I took. Here's the route. More people. You can see it's a heavily traveled trail. There are these side roads as Beji. And where we're going is the third one from the bottom. Oriega, Roncesvalles. 2 hours and 15 minutes. And this looks like, at one time perhaps, this had been maybe a border station, or I have no idea for sure, but substantial old rock building at one time. The remains of another stone house built into the side of this hill. God knows there's enough stone up here to do that. And it's probably down below there. You can see I just noticed a cabin, so it's probably a sheep herder's cabin, corrals for whatever purpose. Wrong again. The trail continues on up. And here we're looking back into France. My guess is the road hooks around to the left and eventually goes over that ridge you can see coming in from the lower. So I suspect this is the last part of the climb, and up there where the ridge line is, you see those people. My guess is that's where the top is, somewhere just beyond that. So finally it appears that this is the top. And now the steep descent, excuse me, over to that road, and then probably all the way down there, somehow switch back and forth until. So this is the new refugio, in other words for pilgrims, in the first stop when you come across the Pyrenees from Saint-Jean-Pied-Pont to Roncesvalles in Spain. So we're now in Spain. This is all new done. Very, very nice. The bunks are individual beds like this with your own locker, your own power. There's probably a light source, air source. I'm sure this locks using keys they provide. And there's the ladies' room over on this side, the men's room on this side, all brand new. How neat is this? A bathroom, toilet, urinal, sinks, and a couple of showers, which I'll take immediately. And here's a little place you can sit and relax if you like. That's the entrance to the refugio. My guess is this was an old complex of some sort, although that entire building portion there may be brand new. Looks like it from the outside. Whether it was retrofitted on the first few floors and then that first floor I showed you, or the top floor I showed you, was added, I don't know. So much have I seen of these rock walls in the last year in both the Balkans and even in Scotland, and a little bit in Newcastle, England when I was there. This all looks new, or at least significantly refurbished. It's an interesting canopy over that altar, if you will, in the center. Very heavy in theme, or at least not in theme, but in color of the stained glass. I think that is a silver Virgin and Child, for which this church is somewhat noted, and for its rich-looking stained glass. I'm not sure if it looks dark and rich in part because it may not have been cleaned. I'll slowly pan down through this long. Expand out a bit so you can see the context. Mary and two more figures there. Then beneath them, 3, 3, 3, 3. So I'm sure it tells a story if I knew what it was. See, looking very, very closely at this, you can't tell I can't tell whether it's just dark colors or whether it was dirt on there that needs to be cleaned. I'm hoping it's the first. Look, for example, how much brighter that other panel is. Is it simply an artistic difference? And there, high up above, some interesting and pretty stained glass just from a design viewpoint. This figure may be St. James, but I have absolutely no idea. And this is the rear of the church, not the altar, but the other end. Interesting with those satellite images around it. I've not seen, I don't think, that construction before. This is an interesting sculpture, a stela El Camino. It reminds me more of a flower. This is one of the main bars. I think there may be two. It's a very small town. We've done a good job of restoring or building much of what you see here. My guess is that the plaque on this stone memorializes the invasions of either Charlemagne and the Romans, or the other historic battles that may have taken place here throughout history, probably between Christians and Moors. This is an old photograph in the La Posada Hotel depicting what pilgrims used to do, or at least pretended to do, or had some ceremony where they did it. Interesting, they're doing it in the rain. And all because somebody in 813 or something like that said they quote-unquote discovered James the Apostle's remains in Santiago de Compostela. And then in the Middle Ages, around 1100 and something, the Catholic Church, in the form of the Pope, advised everybody that the Pope had apparently spoken to God, and God had told him that if people would make the pilgrimage to Santiago, to now St. James relics, that they would be forgiven all of their sins. I thought they could do that staying at home and going to confession, but well, the marketing ploy worked, and the pilgrimage was on, at least for that period of time. It died after that for quite some time, was resurrected again in 1960 by some business people, realizing the marketing potential and the income potential for Spain, northern Spain, the Basque area,